Hello Doctor Who fans and welcome to another video. As you can see, I have something different. This obviously is a new B&M, well, sort of exclusive. So this is briefly available on the Big Chief Studios website, because these are actually surprisingly produced by Big Chief Studios. And if you don't know the company, you'll know that they are known for, let's say, more detailed figures. But as you can see, they've come up with something, well, a whole new range. So it's not just Doctor Who, but other things including Only Fools and Horses and Laurel and Hardy. So it's certainly different, especially for them. So I'm going to be talking to you, well, through my thoughts and what I think. So as you can see, we had the Imperial Necros Dalek. We got a Dalek Warrior labelled, technically the Genesis Dalek, the Supreme Dalek from Dare the Daleks, and the Dalek Guard from Evil of the Daleks. So as you can see, they're all the same scale, they're all the same, basically they're exactly the same. The only difference is the colour scheme. And so you're probably thinking, oh, these are quite nice figures. Well, technically they're not necessarily figures as such, as you can see. They're actually, well, bobbleheads, and obviously as the Daleks don't necessarily have the kind of head to bobble, they're technically bobble Daleks. So it's certainly an interesting thing. I mean, I get where they're coming from in that B&M obviously do lots of figures already, and there's obviously a lot of Doctor Who figures already out there, so it's probably good to do something different. Again, as you can see, they're certainly more different before. They obviously have a small spring at the bottom. It doesn't overly bounce, it just basically just bobbles around. So it's something different. I don't normally collect these things, but I thought I'd give it a go. One thing I can say is that at least the details are all there, but as you can see, they've decided to go as accurate as possible with all the details of a Dalek. I suppose the only difference that I'll pick up on is the proportions of the Dalek. As you can see, Daleks don't normally look like this. But technically it's a novelty item. It's supposed to be different. A bit like the Pop Funko figures and the vinyl figures. I know your thoughts on both of those, but it's a novelty item. It's something new. It's not something seen before to distinguish it from the other ranges. So as you can see, the figure is obviously quite short. It's a lot less shorter than the 5-inch figures. If you wanted a comparison, this is the Titan vinyl Dalek from a few years ago. So as you can see, the height is pretty much the same. And as the predecessor, they are literally both out of proportion, one way or another. So they are the exact same height. It's certainly a novelty item. Obviously the laser gun is actually larger than the plunger arm, which is certainly different. And surprisingly, the eye is actually larger than the plunger arm as well. Maybe I would have had that a bit longer if I was going to be, well, picky a bit. But again, these are quite good items. They don't weigh that much. They are basically just very, very thick plastic. I suppose to give it space to bobble. The details are all there. The appendages do not move, so the eye don't move. Neither does the laser arm or the plunger arm. So it's a static figure except for the bobble bit. Again, these are quite nice items. They're only £15 from B&M, so they're not the most expensive Doctor Who items in the world. So technically they're actually £5 cheaper than the 5-inch figures from Character Options. So I like how we've got something different. Whether or not I'll be collecting any more, because they are part of an upcoming range. If you check the Big Chief Studios website, there is a variety of figures available at the moment, and there is more to come. So again, they're different. I like how it's come with a variety of Daleks. So you've got pretty much one of every era. We have the 60s, we got the early 70s, the late 70s, and we had the 80s. So pretty much you get one of every type of Dalek that was ever produced. So I like the variety that they've actually done. Again, whether or not I'll collect them, probably maybe if the price was right. Some of them can be quite expensive. Especially if it's a new upcoming range and you want to collect them all. Technically, it's actually quite a cheap range if you wanted to collect them all. There will be some others coming out. Like I said, I'm going to put the Big Chief Studios link in the description below. But on the scale of past figures, I think they're maybe slightly better than the vinyl Daleks due to the fact their proportions, even though they're not accurate, they are, as you can see, that bit better on the whole. Maybe not overall, and technically they are better than the Funko Daleks, but again, they don't beat the character options figures. But overall, again, they're a novelty item. I quite like them. Technically, all the details are there, including the neck rings, all the slats, the mesh. So they technically went as accurate as possible, but with a novelty item. So it's one of those kind of very in between figures. So it's not bad, but it's not like outstanding as such. So overall, it's an okay item. I'll certainly recommend it if you wanted to start a new range, and especially if you're new to Doctor Who and collecting Doctor Who, then technically this is probably a good way to start because the range is literally only just starting to come out as of now. So you can sort of get a head start without missing anything. But as you can see, they are different. They're all the same size. There's no bad gluing effect or missed paint or chips. So on that fact, they're all still there, and technically they don't bobble all the time. So if you were to display them, make sure that they're in a place where there's not that much movement happening, because they'll keep on bobbling all the time. And the problem is sometimes with the springs is that they do tend to lean a bit. So as you can see with the Emperor's Dalek Guard, it does tend to slant a bit to the right. Which is a bit of a shame, but again, that's just the spring. But overall, it's certainly an interesting item, even though if the proportions aren't there. And technically, one thing I would have liked was if any of the appendages moved. So I think they may have missed the trick bit, because obviously it would have added something to it to sort of display them maybe a bit better. But I suppose in the end, it's to keep the cost down. So if you do one solid figure, then it keeps the cost down. So that's why it's only £15 and probably not £25. Especially it's £15. It's 4 Daleks. It's less than £4 a Dalek. It's on the whole, it's actually not too bad. But again, there will be more coming out, and so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review of some different Doctor Who things. And these aren't actually the only non-character options figures that will be coming out either this year or next year. There will be also further Big Chief Studio stuff to come. I can't say what, because I don't really know, but there will be other things that aren't Doctor Who figure related that will be appearing in B&M's stores quite soon. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and keep following the Who merchandise on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, and keep watching for more reviews and any other upcoming figures or even Big Chief Studios stuff in the next few weeks, whenever that may be and whether ever they decide to turn up.